those of you watching the VOD, I'm going to do a little quick debugging here. My screen is still doing that white and green. That's just a matter of restarting it as usual. So let me do that real quick. Doing a bunch of things. Start really like this to give the students a chance to show up and come into the chat. They are hopefully notified. I'm hoping that people are notified when we go live, when BVMP goes live. Otherwise, I don't know. I've been considering switching to Twitch, but hey, that's against YouTube's policies to say that. So, you didn't hear anything. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself now. Okay, I'm going to do a quick restart on the camera. I did say we were going to start at 11:30, but I suppose we could just, well, I'm just going to get some things worked out real quick. Live on stream. Okay, that's good. That much is good. Now for this, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Just need to do that. And then this. Give it a moment. There it is. So, what I'm going to do is, well, let's see. I can't really have that just play in the background then, can I? I suppose I will just begin now, and I'll explain what I'm doing. I'll leave my camera out for now, though, until some people show, some of the students show. Well, what's the point of that? What's the point of that? So, what's our goal today? And I'm gonna have to explain this again once people show, but just for the viewers, or the people who are watching after the fact, we are going to be focusing more on drums today, and we're gonna be working on that same soundtrack project that we have been working on this whole time, and we're going to take this beat that we've created, and we're going to mess with some different drum sounds and some different variations of that beat, and we'll just try some different things out and see if we can perhaps enhance them a little bit and then develop them a little bit more, because as of now they're quite basic and could use some work. Also, we're going to develop this second section some more. What I think I'll do as well is I'll adjust the arrangement of things and move this second section, this like more sidechain pump oriented. What I mean by sidechain pump, let me explain what I mean by that before I go on. So the other day I had implemented this first drop, which kind of uses sliced up versions of a bass sound I've created in Ableton and then imported into Soundtrap, and I used fades and cuts, and I created a little bass line here, and then in the second half of the drop I used, drop being one of the sections of the arrangement, I used a technique where I used automation and created like a sort of ramp up every quarter note. So what this is essentially doing is emulating what a compressor would do if it had a sidechain input, and it's taking, but what does that mean? It's taking the volume down of this bass so that the kick drum that's happening on every quarter note can come through. It's getting out of the way, so it goes, and then it creates this sort of pumping feel to it. So it's because it's whop whop whop, like the mix comes, the whole song comes out, and just the kick is slamming and driving the whole song forward, and it just creates this really cool cool effect that kind of that makes you want to move, and sounds really cool. And there's a way to achieve that with a compressor effect. Ooh, my hair is crazy. There's a way to achieve that with a compressor, and not so in Soundtrap, which is why I use the volume, but this is what I was doing with it. I was getting it out of the way so that this kick could come out. There's a way to do that in Ableton, but I'm not gonna really. I'll just show you how it's set up with a kind of a basic setup here. I'm not gonna delve too much into it because I'm really just using Ableton today to find some more drum sounds, because I've got a nice library myself and might as well use it. You know, no reason not to. shouldn't limit ourselves to Soundtrap, but and just as you know, you guys who are using it or who are going to eventually use it down the line, you shouldn't limit yourselves to Soundtrap's loop library either. It's got a nice selection. It's got a whole bunch of good sounds and good loops to choose from. But there's many more out there that are free to get. You just have to know where to look. And also, you could of course pay to get samples. You could get a subscription to something like Splice that gives you a couple free a bunch of credits to get some free samples every month. Or there's like sample packs that you can browse around and buy. If you get other music making software, it's going to come with its own samples. But there's a lot of free stuff out there. You just got to know where to look. And you could, like, there are some like royalty free like libraries out there that are, you know, made for the producer who's looking for extra samples. They're looking for extra drum sounds. Or you could record your own. I mean, there's nothing against going out there with a mic and recording your own samples and bringing them in to the studio and making them into a drum kit. And I think we might even do something like that for one of our streams. We will switch it up and we will do a mobile stream. That's right. We're going to do a mobile stream once I figure out how to get that to work. I can stream with my phone. Sure, it's not going to exactly be the same graphic quality. We're going to have some, you know, it's going to be not the fancy border and this like the logo, but that could be added in post. But we're going to go on a little, I just have to get a microphone that I can carry around with me. I used to have one, but it broke. But I could carry around some microphone and record some samples. But that's for another day. Today we're focusing on drums and the samples that we have, and the samples that we provided. So I'm just kind of waiting around to see. So I don't want to repeat myself too much here if I'm gonna explain it to somebody. So I'm kind of just going slow here. What I've done so far is I've taken the beat. You can see this bunch of MIDI down here. So what this is I've taken the beat out of Soundtrap. I went to Beat Awesome. I went to this track. I clicked the three dots. And 1 second. I click the three dots here. I have to turn off drawing. And that allows me to export this one track. And I exported it as a MIDI file. So I exported MIDI to file. That gave me a MIDI file in my downloads folder, and then I was able to bring that into whatever program uses MIDI, which is Ableton in this case. And now I have the notes, or I have the beat from the song, so I don't have to remake it in Ableton, and I can work here just a small section. This is a blank MIDI track, so there's no drum sounds on it quite yet. But let's kind of browse for a few, and we're looking for we need some sort of intent when we're looking for drum sounds. Right now, we're going to look for an entire kit because Ableton's got a really neat way of arranging its drum sounds and drum. They call them drum racks, drum patches, samplers. The way Soundtrap does it is they've got you load up a track and you are given drum and beats, and you're given this kind of like layout here with the patterns. You could also go to the instrument, and then on each of these keys are a different sound. So in H we got a shaker sound, got a clap sound over here, tom, and so on and so forth. Each one has its own each key, each note has its own sound associated with it. So that's essentially what's going on, or what we're going to make in Ableton. But it's gonna kind of be, it's more sophisticated than that because it gives you more options. I mean, it's been a common theme that Ableton gives you way more options. I'm a huge, you can see I'm a huge fan of Ableton, but I would like to one of these days I am going to use, I'm going to switch it up and use a different DAW. I think I will use a different workstation, different DAW for the next project. I'll still use Soundtrap, of course, but I will go in and I will use a different DAW as a resource. I like this one though because I have the hardware, the push hardware. So that is why I use this program most of the time, because it has a dedicated MIDI controller, which is also a drum pad, which is what I'm going to be using today to perhaps help me out in making some expansions and variations to our beat. So over here on the left, so let's kind of talk about what we see here. So down here on the bottom, we have our clip, right? We have all our notes. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down and kind of condense it a little bit because we don't need it to be that big. We have our tracks here. I loaded up a new project in Ableton. That started me out with a whole bunch of extra tracks that I don't really need, so I'm going to get rid of them. And over here we have 3 more tracks, which are covered up by my face. Over here we have 3 more tracks, which are our return tracks. So these tracks, you can think of this this view, this stuff on the left, as like your sources, and that goes to the right over here to these returns. Verb and delay, they're just called that. Actually, wait a minute. They do have some effects on them. And then we have the master. So we have 2 return tracks and a master track. The master, everything goes to the master. Everything goes through the master. If you put a plugin on the master, it puts it on everything in the project. I believe there might be a way to do that in... I'm not sure if there is a way to do that in Soundtrap. I haven't kind of delved that far into the process yet. Because I kind of do things step by step. I just deal with the instruments and all the ideas and all that first, and then worry about levels and adding plugins to a master track and balancing all the volumes and stuff later on. And we're going to get to that once we have all the elements in place for our song, which we don't currently. So we are working on that today. But we will eventually, perhaps within the next week, we will get to a little bit of mixing on our own here. So we could even import the track into the entirety of the track, not just like the track itself, like audio wise, but like piece by piece. I can import each of these tracks into this software, and then I could work on it further, and I could add more and more effects onto it. But I'm going to keep it local to Soundtrap here so that I could share it with you guys, and then you all could kind of take it apart later and look at it and see, alright, well, what's going on here? You could look at and see, you can highlight this note and you can see, alright, if you hold on it, you can see what the notes are. You gotta pick it apart if you wanted to. So I'm gonna be finalizing this project in Soundtrap, and of course this is like a kind of a Soundtrap related class. I should make this full screen. But it's mainly a music production class. It's not I don't want to call it a Soundtrap course, because that's not what this is. This is I'm using the resource that you all have access to so that you have something that you can start with right away if you wish. And because BVMP is offering this, like we are going to be offering this to up to 50 people can be registered at once within this week. I wish someone was around to receive this news. Perhaps I will delay saying the big news. Nah, I've already told you. I've definitely already told you that we are going to be transferring my Soundtrap license over to BVMP, and BVMP is going to be hosting it and paying for it. so that up to 50 students get access to the Soundtrap DAW. Okay, it's not over there, it's over here. The Soundtrap DAW, and they can do whatever they want with any of the samples. They can collaborate with other students and just do all of the stuff that I'm doing right now. Of course, minus this part. That's up to you to find sounds and create sounds and bring them in. But this is a really, really, like, despite all of the complaints I give it, it's really great DAW. Really, really great for starting out with. So I digress. Let's go back to explaining what we see. So we have return tracks here, and we have a master track. Everything's going into the master track. And then what are the return tracks? Well, you'll see here, if I expand out the view of this track here, if I make it bigger. Actually, no, I need to load up a sound first. Let's just load up a quick drum sound. What is this one? I like number 4. So you can see we've got our beat. So you can see down here at the bottom, when I loaded up a sound, these two knobs appear. These are our sends, and there's A and there's B. Over here on this track we have A and B. So what this is essentially doing is allowing you to send part of a track, or send some. This is a volume knob, so you can send some amount of this beat to track number A. I just said number A. You can send part of this track to A or to B, and each of those can have effects on them. So you could have, by default, I've set it up so that there is a reverb effect on the first return track and a delay on the second return track. I'm going to go ahead and I guess just turn that on, maybe to help us out here, because we will end up exporting this whole thing, so we could use some effects to enhance our drums, why not? But you can hear that I've turned it on, yet nothing's happening. I need to turn up this knob here. And you can start to hear. You know, it's really cool. That's actually kind of a good starting point. I'm gonna come down here. So this is what the piano roll in Ableton looks like. That's what you've been seeing here this whole time. Is like in Soundtrap, the piano roll looks like. Oh, excuse the rapid movements. If you were to come into Soundtrap, the piano roll, when you pull up a track, would look like this. You'd see your notes, and then if you move your playhead, you can see the purple line here, and then edit your notes here, right? Yeah, if you've been using Soundtrap up to this point, if you've been kind of following along, you should be familiar with this, with these notes. This is what it looks like in Ableton. Just everything's a little bit more, I guess, sharper. I guess more square. I don't know. It's different looking, and these notes are really, really short. That's okay. But yeah, we have a beat with some delay on it. So I gotta find that. Yeah, it's up here. Go ahead and turn this on. That'll allow us to hear the notes as we highlight them. And we're just going to go ahead and take a look through, or listen through, what sounds we have in this kit. Lots of kicks. I kind of like that crash sound. Perhaps if that was at the beginning of this phrase. Or maybe max velocity. And then maybe this could move to another sound. I do like that tom sound, but I want to maybe do something a little bit shorter. Let's see if we can find a good sound here. Whoops. Excuse me. Ooh, okay. Perhaps if we had less notes there, maybe if it was like eighth notes? Or offbeat eighth notes, even? Ooh, okay, no. Let's try something like this. Dum. I'm thinking of another way we could incorporate these toms. Dun dun. Yeah, like that. So it would be on the second and fourth, like if you're looking at the divisions, it would be on the second and fourth 16th notes, kind of another example of like syncopation there. So I suppose I could do a little bit explaining on like what this rhythm is in terms of like sheet music, but I'm gonna avoid that because we're in piano roll. I'm gonna make these other notes a little bit larger so you can see them better, so I can see them better as well. Let's undo that so I can select more. Also, I'm gonna select these super long kicks that aren't necessarily a little too long. So let's select these. We'll select these and these. We'll expand them out a little bit so we can see what we have here. Same with these notes up here. Yep, there we go. Let's play it out. Maybe just the last two notes of that. And then like one on that last 16th of the measure. Boom, bunk. Yeah, that could work. different fill, perhaps? No, I can get the end of this note. That might be cool. Those notes do nothing. Neither do they or they. Get rid of those. They're unnecessary. That'd be a cool fill. Perhaps we could vary the sound of the kick because we did have 4 different ones to choose from. Maybe like the middle to here. I'll kind of pick some at random, but only from the second or third note. Why? Because, I don't know, why not? Just kind of randomizing the notes right now, not messing with the rhythm at all. I like that kick a lot more than I thought I would. Let's move some more notes up there. That kind of alternating, maybe we kind of have more of a sequence of those going. Maybe this will have an extra note up there. Kind of have a sequence going on here. Alright, let's try that much. Nice. That's better. So that's one option. Let's make a variation of it now. So I'm gonna hold Option and drag. This is the great thing about Ableton when you're kind of like trying out different beats and trying out different like different ideas, is that you create one thing and inside like what's known as like a little clip, or not a little clip. It's what's known as a clip inside this track. So this track has several slots for clips in them, in it. And what you can do is essentially I've taken that one long MIDI track and I've made it a clip in this this track, and then I can just hold Option, and then I can drag that down, and then I'll have a copy of that clip, and I can make adjustments to this one. So let's say I want this one to not have a crash in it, so I can just go in and turn that off. Note's still there, but it's off, so it'll get avoided. Another nice feature of Ableton. Perhaps this one doesn't have a shaker. Let's take off the delay. Maybe there's no tom on it either. Maybe we'll move some more of these kicks up to one of the other options we have. Let's see. First of all, we're going to have to make these all the same note. Whoops. What did I do? Where did they go? Okay. I need to make sure that they stay in the same place. Just going to move them down so that I can select these two, get them in line, and then I want to make all of these notes on... Ooh. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, okay, I changed my mind. Those other ones aren't the greatest. That's good. Okay. So that's kind of simplistic. Let's maybe make a, What about this snare? We could change that up, too. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Ooh. Got a nice clap up here. That could work. Alright, so I will keep that as an option. Let's make another version of that one. We will enable our toms, and we will move them to the woodblock sound. Ooh, pretty nice. Let's include another sound on top. Just haven't decided which one yet. Never mind. Never mind. Let's find a different kit. Because I'm not really sure of what other beats I could do yet. We might come up with some different variations, but I want to try different sounds first. I'll move my face so you can see. If I had someone here right now, that I would say like, oh, I would leave it up to them to choose one for me, but that's a lot easier to do in person because YouTube has a 30-second delay between me asking a question or saying something and it getting to your end. So it's kind of hard to kind of have like that sort of live participation, at least in Ableton. But Soundtrap's got that built right in and it's instant. So, just saying, could be using it right now. But, y'all are slacking. Got to get to producing, y'all, you know? I don't know about that one. So I passed over quite a lot right now. I'm going to kind of go back through. I haven't really found one that's grabbing me yet. This one might be an interesting one to mess with. Words. Gotta drink it while it's hot, you know. It's coffee, by the way. Okay, let's pick up the pace. Let's just pick some other ones. Not even bother looking at this one. I like that one for everything but the kick. So I'll grab that one. Jackman was kind of nice. Okay, let's try these other three now. We'll drag in our original beat.
Hey, hey,
Whoa!
hey, hey,
Okay. Hey!
hey, hey, hey.
That's what that sound became.
Hit me now.
You know? It could work, I guess. It's possible. 'Tis possible.
Hit me now. Hey, listen to the organ play.
So it's a lot of vocals in this one.
Well,
Well, hello there. Well, I got it right that these are all kicks, so... Which ones are better, though? I might want to vary up this kick pattern. So right now we just have it as straight quarter notes. Perhaps I want to kind of delay some of them, so it like has more of like a rock beat feel to it. So like boom cat boom boom cat booms cats boots boots cats. So like I'll just draw it out, and instead of trying to sound it out to you, you know, that's probably a better idea. So. And I'm not even sure what I want it to be yet, so. First thing I can try is delaying this one kick forward by an eighth note, and the leading that third kick so we have a more laid back feel. So, move it forward just a bit. And we could double that one up, move that one to the same spot, and then we could bring that one forward, and then perhaps would that one sound cool? Yeah, that sounds cool. There's one problem with it though, is that when you're working on a house track, this Soundtrap song is a house track, by the way. You want it to swing. You want it to swing. And right now, these notes are very much on the grid, what you would call straight. So like these notes are straight 16ths, straight eighths. It's very rigid sounding, rigid feeling. So there is a way to circumvent this in Ableton. I could do it on my hardware, but I'm gonna do it here on the interface. What we're gonna do is we're going to select everything, or select all, and we're gonna come over here to groove. So on the left side, we've got a whole bunch of, okay, it's kind of hard to see, but I've got a groove little box here that will allow me to add some swing to all of these notes. So let's go ahead and click our little hot swap button. So that will allow us to choose one. And we've got a bunch of options here. Hip hop, non-percussion, logic, MPC, notator, other, quantize, swing. Let's go ahead and look in the swing folder. So swing gives us some basic options. And if we play through them, it gives you like a click pattern that, if you listen to it, will tell you the feel, will tell you the feel of the resulting notes. So like when you choose this, all of the notes will quantize themselves to this kind of swing. Depending on which one you choose, it's more or less swung. And this one is based on 16th notes. So you could think that swing 1600 is like just straight. Like, this is nearly straight. It's just swung the slightest amount. This one swung a little more. And as I progress further and further, it gets more and more extreme. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 75. Let's try that one. Okay, so I've got to go ahead and go back into there. Groove, we want swing 1675, commit. And that will move all the notes. You can see that this note particularly moved off of its grid. If we zoom in, you can see it's moved a little bit forward. So that's moved all the notes to now make them swung a little bit. So let's now listen to this these first two measures again. As opposed to this. So just by adding a little bit of swing, you get a much better sounding groove. Okay, we're just playing this track now. Okay, now we select, commit. So I've just got to do the same treatment to every other kick. Or maybe I don't have to. Perhaps I could just take this one loop. I'll try to choose a better snare. Let's kind of mess around with some snare patterns here. I'm going to play some in myself. Turn the metronome on. I gotta make these kick drums max velocity. Oh, hello, we have a viewer. Hi. Maybe those two together would sound good. So then I'll just bring back these original notes and I'm just going to double them up. With that. I'll lower the top one's velocity. So that, yeah, that's good. And if we were to combine it with, okay, so essentially what I'm doing, I'm going to explain again here, since now someone is here. Hello there. I'm assuming it's Nate, but it might be, could be Lily, could be anyone. Could be anyone. But I will explain it to you. So I'm taking, okay, I keep scrolling the wrong direction. So still working on the same song that we have been working on. We're focusing more on our drum beats today. So this whole time I've been developing this whole drop section and adding all sorts of elements from Ableton and doing all sorts of transitions, but I haven't given the drums themselves much love. So I am doing that today. I'm going into Ableton and choosing from my drum samples and kind of messing with some different beats that we could use and throw in there. Particularly, I want to find new sounds for this main beat and This may be some new auxiliary sounds, and we could make some what some people call, or what some loops call, toppers. So like, I don't know, if you were to look for drum loops, you could see some of them say tops, and if you were to play through this, you can see tops contain all of the percussion sounds that aren't kick. So we're looking for some more sort of tops sounds today, and we're also trying to come up with better sounds for our kick and all of that. And yeah, and also vary the beat a little bit more, because it's kind of the same thing throughout the whole song, right? We want better fills, better everything. We could do the better fills inside of Soundtrap, but we're just getting some new sounds here. Alright. So I've got this kind of like funk drum kit, and I've got this like electrified drum kit, and I'm choosing them from Ableton here. If I go to drums, it's got like a whole, I've got a whole list of drum kits here that contain several samples on each one, and I've chosen a couple that we can mess with here. So I kind of built a little basic funk beat here. Maybe I'll do a variation with hi-hats. So let's do that real quick. Gotta add some swing to this real quick. Well, no, okay. It's got. I'm honestly considering putting some of those vocals in. Okay, let's do something like that. So, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Why you no record, huh? Interesting. It's gonna be record ready. Ah, you know what it's doing? It's recording into the wrong place. Ableton's kind of funny like that. I need to record into this clip, actually. And I need to turn layering on, and then do this. And then I can go in and adjust the velocity of all of these. So let's select all of our hi-hat notes, and we will bring them to about here. This one I'm going to bring up a little. There is another hi-hat sample. What does it sound like? It's actually not bad. I'm going to select a couple of these notes and move them up to that other hi-hat sample. These ones particularly. And then I gotta deselect these ones here and move the rest up. Okay, let's try that one out. Cool. That'll work out. Let's try maybe having a variation that has no drums, or not no drums, no kick drum. Could be useful for maybe a middle section or a fill. Maybe I'll do a little snare fill here at the end. So let's grab... What sounds do I want to use for this? We'll use like the rim shot sound. And I'll go on the off beats. So instead of going right on all the quarters, which would be here, 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 and here, I'm going on the off beats, so it will it'll be more interesting that way. So like, if you were to divide up, if I were to zoom this out so that the grid lines get this small. Actually, I'm doing this wrong. Okay, I'm doing this way too zoomed. I was way too zoomed in. Okay, so actually, quarter notes are here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's start it from this point. I could do that, but cut, and or I could delay them a little bit, and it would sound a lot better. So now that it's on the offbeat, you're counting 1 to, like, by offbeat. What do I mean by offbeat? 2, 3, 4. Those snare hits fall, if you were to count out the metronome. The snare hits will fall in between the metronome sounds, and that has a tendency, just like how chord progressions are certain chords on various scale degrees will tend to lead you back to a tonic, and through like leading tones and yada yada yada, stuff we got into a couple weeks back. Just how chord progressions tend to lead you back to that tonic, to that home. I don't know what my point was going to be. The offbeats tend to lead you back to, or tend to want to lead back to notes that land on the beat. So like, if you were to I'm just trying to think of the best way that I can illustrate this. Like, if you think about it, or those last 3 notes, they want to, you kind of want to hear like something on a downbeat that happens afterwards, right? You want to hear like boom, gut, booms, guts, booms, guts, and it leads into something else, right? Yeah. So let me just kind of do that. I will play this, so that'll have a little fill, and then a kick comes in. So that's what you would that's what kind of offbeats are. That's what offbeats are kind of for. So they're always, you wouldn't have like, what am I trying to say here? But use offbeats to kind of like, or notes that are on offbeats to lead quickly back to ones that are. So you have like kind of this basic scale. Let's just make one from scratch right now. Let's make a beat from scratch right now so I can better talk about this. So I'll just do something super. Let me get this. Let me just draw it out. Why not? So I'll make a little MIDI clip here, and that's going to give us a single measure. Sure, that's fine. We'll just have a single measure. Grab a kick drum. Kick, snare, kick, snare. So this is the most basic you can have. This is nothing. Nothing is on the offbeat here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's now put this third kick. Let's put this kick on beat 3 on the offbeat. The offbeat is going to be anything that doesn't fall on these quarter notes. It would be considered an offbeat. Like this is an offbeat. This is an offbeat. This is an offbeat. So when I say an offbeat note, I'm not really being specific as to where off of how far off the beat it is. I'm just saying that this note is delayed some, and that will in turn bring it closer to the next note, therefore leading you into it somewhat. I hope y'all. I hope it's clear. I'm not too sure myself. But now that I've delayed this kick, you can tell. Boomka. So that kick leads you into that snare. See what I'm saying? Boomka. You could also do. You could do a move where you bring the kick back some. So like instead of going this way to make the kick offbeat, you could go backwards. You can, I'm going to go, in this case, 1/16th note backwards and create the same sort of beat I had before, the same sort of bass beat I had before. So like all I did to create this top beat, beside minus all of this extra stuff on top, the basic premise of it was kick, snare, and I brought this kick forward a 16th note. So now it's on the last 16th note of the second quarter note, but disregarding all the numbers, this is what it sounds like. So that it creates a little bit more space between that second kick and that second last snare. And if I were to swing it, if I were to commit that groove that I had earlier, you could see that the kick is actually brought a little bit closer back to the back to here. It's delayed a little bit more, and then you start to get that sense of a groove, right? Or you get the sense of a more interesting groove than you had before. Like this is a groove, right? But it's not as good of a groove, as interesting a groove as something that's kind of swung and delayed a little bit that gets you off of the beat and puts you back on, and instead of just keeping you like rigidly on like a metronome. That's boring. We want beats that sort of waver. I wouldn't say waver from time, like waver from the everything stays on time, but where it is in like where the notes are positioned. It's if you have notes that are more off of the beat and bring you back. We'll just figure this out as we go, right? So point being, you could get. See, now you know what an offbeat could be. It could be here too. This is an 8th note offbeat. This is 16th note offbeat. So that's essentially what I'm doing. Nothing more than that. So we'll go back to what we had before. And for that fill, what I did, I got this rim shot sample, and I essentially created 3 8th notes, one after the other. Actually, let's do it this way. So we'll start with this. So that would be considered on the beat. Those 8th notes would be on the beat. This one, still kind of on the beat, but like, I guess you could say this is off the beat, but when you really don't have like a beat to begin with, otherwise, this is like a fill. So we'll disregard whether this is on the beat or not. This is getting off the beat regardless, because it's like doing some crazy stuff then going back in, or maybe not crazy stuff, but like some sort of interesting thing rhythm wise, and then leading you back into the more basic start, like bass beat that you have. So our the fill that was done here was created by making some 8th notes and then just moving them off the beat a little bit. So they're like the last 3 8th notes of the measure, and then I just delayed them all by a 16th note. So then the results like this. And then you take all of that, you swing it some, and that'll take all of those notes, whoops, and we'll delay them a little bit more. So you get that swung feel, that swung offbeat, the groove like feel, and with only using like, it just makes it more, it just makes it sound better. As opposed to let's demonstrate swing with something that has more notes in it. Whoops, I think I just merged them by accident. Let's make another beat real quick. Let's look at this one. Let's look at this kit. This one's called what is this one called again? Head Smack. Let's see what sounds we have. So we're gonna make a really straight a beat with a really straight feel, and then we're gonna give it some swing, and we're going to see how it changes the overall groove of it. You saw how how swing affects notes on like just like an individual level, right? You have these are on the 16th notes in the measure. And if I were to apply some swing, they move forward a little bit. But what if we were to apply that to a whole bunch of notes? And perhaps if I did that, you would get a better understanding of what swing does and why swing is desirable. So I'll try and kind of put something together here. So let's play this metronome. Seeing what other sounds I have here. Let's try something like that. 2, 4. Some kind of fill at the end. Quantize it. So, yeah. All right. So right now, this is just how I played it in. Oh, I think I did pretty well. I'm gonna get it exactly on the grid though. I'm gonna select them all. Whoa, that is not what I wanted. I gotta change the settings. So now all the notes are exactly the same length. They're all on the grid, and it's got a super straight feel to it. Some of the notes are delayed where I don't want them to be delayed. This one, for example. And that kick is delayed where I don't want it to be delayed. Messing with this fill. maybe some of these hits I can move around. Yeah. What if I were to mute the kick? Okay, so this is super straight feeling, right? Let's now apply some swing. So let's go apply that groove. And watch how the notes move. Watch how all the notes move when I do this. Commit. Okay. So you'll see some of them changed length. Let's just take another look. Notice particularly the ones that are off of the grid. So the grid being like ones that line up with the numbers up top. Notice the, like, particularly this one, like these ones, move forward a little bit. So let's select all, commit that groove. And you'll notice some of them got a lot shorter, like this one got shorter, this one got shorter, these got shorter. So some of them moved forward, and you get this sound now. It's like really dramatic here. Like, let's listen to this beforehand. Whoops. I got to undo everything here. My whole, oh. It doesn't have a groove. Okay. Yeah, so that's what it sounded like before. Again. Now I'm going to apply the swing. Cool. So let's make some interesting things happen to our hi-hat. So what I'm going to do is maybe select some notes at random, and I'm going to move them forward to make them happen on the offbeats. So that when I, okay, actually before I do this, so that when I go to apply our swing, these notes will get delayed a little bit, and then the hi-hat pattern will be a little bit swung as well, because right now the hi-hat pattern is straight as opposed to the kick, and I want the hi-hat pattern to swing a little bit because that's what's going to be most prominent when I import it into our song. Is that hi-hat pattern? That's what I'm going after. I'm going after those top parts, right? So let's take all of these ones that I've selected here, and I'm just going to inch them forward. And then I'm going to apply that same swing. And let's hear what we've got now. So you can see some of the hi-hat notes are shorter. Cool. Move this one forward, and I'm gonna make a couple more minor changes. Move these two forward. I think they need to be a little bit back. There we go. Commit the groove again. What options do we have for snares? What if I turned... Okay, so let's make a version with... No kick. I'll turn that off. Let's even make a version without the snare. Put some delay on it. Anyway, if we can adjust this delay so that it has swing as well. That might be really nice. Okay, so what about Jackman kit? Nope, that's still the old kit. It looks like we got a little bit of filter stuff going on. Nope, that's just the sample. Wait, is that modulating somehow? Ooh. See, some of these drum kits are really cool. It's no more than just drums. Like, you've got a bass thump in here, you've got a percussion stab, which seems to change every time I hit it somehow. I think there's some effects being applied. Yeah. Yep, there's something going on there, but I'm not going to bother looking at it. We're just going to try to get something out of it. I don't know if I could use that. Okay, I'm going to look for a particularly powerful kick now because I don't know about this. So I'm just going to go ahead and play through these ones we have. Yeah, I could use a better kick. I mean, it's alright. It's alright, but you know, meh. I want something better. So let's then, instead of browsing through all of the kits themselves, let's take a look at some particular kicks. So I'm gonna go to my sample browser and I'm gonna look for kick. Okay. Skip over those glitch kicks. This is always what takes me the longest. It's like so many things to choose from. Let's then I have a particular place I can look. Let's look through our own library here. I want some kicks. that one's pretty nice. So I'll drag that in, and yeah, that's gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice. Let's record a couple clips with it. So I have to make a sampler instrument out of it to do that. Meaning, going to instruments and picking sampler, and then dragging that sound in. Now, I can find the note where it matches the key of our song, which is flat, right? Yeah, so we want to have a maybe about there. So let's record a couple simple things. Actually, first, I want to try to affect it to maybe thicken it up some. Let's throw on drum bus. This is a really nice Ableton effect here. Drum bus, where is it? Here it is. A little bit of that. And then we'll kind of mix that in. Nice. That might be a little much. Quantize that. Maybe I'll add a little fade at the end of that clip. Nah, alright, I'll just stick with this. Yeah, that's fine. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and make kind of a little arrangement of these clips in this view. I'll export this whole track over to Soundtrap, and I'll kind of do the same thing I did before with cutting it and pasting it in different places. So grab this one. This is actually unnecessary now. This Jacqueline kit I couldn't really find a use for. Let's put this one in. And this one in. And then... okay, let's choose between these. Oh, it's off. So is that one. What I'm going to do is make a variation of it with that original snare. What did I use? What did I use? Let's see. Oh, I did use that clap. I was right. So you have that version, and then I kind of want to expand this one out. So let's take that and let's do a version of it where there's no first crash, and then I want to make these closed hi-hats. Tune this one up. So there's that version. I'll turn the toms off. So we'll start out with this, and then they'll move on to that, and then this, and then this is with toms, that's without. Okay, so I'll have this version. Then I'll have the end of that version. Then so it'll start here, then here, and then there. Okay, so all of that. So we've got that beat. Got this one. This one. Let's get those funk beats in there. So that can go there, and then that can go there, and then that can go there. I believe this maybe should go first, because... Alright. Here, we have no kick, fill, and same thing with upper percussion. And this track is off. Perhaps what I'll do is automate that send so that I can have it delaying in certain places. So yeah, right here we have the ability to do that. So I'm going to bring it in as it reaches the end of this clip. And then here I want to have it way up. Cool. But I don't want it to delay over this this beat awesome. So perhaps what I will do is I will just mute the track automatically after it reaches the end of this point. So it's going to go all the way along. Oh wait, this might work. That might not work. It did not work because it's sending the audio from this channel to the delay channel. What you were hearing afterwards, what I'm trying to do is get this track to not have that delay trail, because then there's this beat. What I'm gonna be taking this whole thing and exporting it Soundtrap. So what I want to do is have this beat cut off when it reaches this point. So I will go into delay because the audio is being sent to this track. I will go to mixer, speaker on, and I will mute the delay as soon as we get to that next beat, and I will turn it right back on, perhaps at measure 25. And you can see, or you can hear, that it immediately cut off. Cool. So that'll serve as a nice solution, and then it comes back on at measure 25, and then we can start bringing it back in on other tracks. Of course, we can do delay in Soundtrap too. There's not really much of a reason to do it in Ableton, but I did want to take advantage of that that plugin I had on there. So I would like a version of these two beats without the kick. What I'm going to do, so I'll go ahead and bring these forward. And, or what I'll have this one repeat, because this one has that whole tom rhythm. Maybe I'll even expand it here, because I'm going to get rid of the kicks for this particular clip. Oops, I forgot these two. 5. Forgot these 5. So I'm going to expand on the toms. Ah, you know what? I just discovered that extra open hi-hat. Maybe if I had, like, that third... Oh, I got an idea. I got an idea! What if I move each of these third notes up to the open hi-hat? Cool. Maybe for like the last section of it. Oh, maybe here I gotta have that. Yeah, let's try that. Quantize it so it's on the beat. Then I gotta groove. I gotta add the swing. Nice. And then without it afterwards. Oh, you can cut off the open hi-hat with the, so this is the shaker. And if I play the closed hi-hat, it will immediately cut off that that open hi-hat. So you get this. You can't really tell. Move it closer. Hear that? Boom. So you get, open closed. So Ableton's got its nice feature that when you play hi-hats next to each other, or open and closed. Let me see if I can find them on my. Here we go. When you play them next to each other, the closed hi-hat will cut off the open hi-hat sound, just as if you were playing an actual hi-hat. So I'm going to take advantage of that to vary this open hi-hat a little bit. So in certain spots I'll cut it off. Maybe here I'll leave it open, and then perhaps I'll cut it off right away here. So let's hear how that sounds, right? Let's hear how that sounds. Yeah, that's cool. Kind of gets out of the way. Okay, I'm going to do that in more places. And by the way, I hope that for those of you who are watching, by watching this process, it might inspire you to do the same and make your own beats by using the piano roll. And I will right after this. In fact, I've got a little bit of time left, but I'm gonna kind of put together a beat and piano roll with Soundtrap, and because I want to explore some more of Soundtrap's kits as well, and I'll show you how you can quickly put together a super basic beat using your piano roll and not really have to do much effort in terms of like playing and practicing and all that. You just have to know that you start with like a really super basic skeleton of a beat, and then you just sort of move things off beat and just make it more complex from there, and just add more and more on top. And if you understand, like there's like the kick and the snare are like your essential parts, and then you add on some hi-hats, shakers, claps. Claps can take take a part of a snare. You have toms that would act as like filler for your beat. So like those would, you could often have tom hits like I have here that occur just like here and there as like added interest, right? But the basic beat is hi-hat, snare, hi-hat, hi-hat, snare, hi-hat, right? That's the basic beat. And I've just got little interesting things that happen here and there. Okay. Okay. So let's move this back. And let's move these forward. What I'm going to do next is bring in some delay. Whoops. I'm going to bring in some delay for a part. Delay. Send to delay. For the parts that have no kick. See how this sounds. Super cool. And the same thing here. I'm going to cut off the delay going into this next groove so that it doesn't decay over if I were to take just this part and loop it, because I'm trying to create like samples for myself. So I don't want the delay on this beat decaying over into this beat, and then when I go and I export it as audio, like that, the tail of this delay, like the decay of these notes, will be heard at the beginning of this beat, and there's nothing I can do about it because it's just printed into audio. So to avoid that, I'm just going to cut off the delay right at the start of measure 41 so that we have this one not affected at all by the notes here. You can hear it just kind of transitions right into no delay at all. That's what I want. What I'm going to do is bring in like delay for a second and then bring it right back down. So this is like a little bit of extra rhythmic interest. Same here, cut it off. Turn it back on. Bring it up for a second, then bring it back down. Okay, that's cool. We can have like a little bit of delay in the center of the loop. And that transitions right into that. Okay, okay. Let's do the same here. I'm going to send some to the delay track. So I want to go to here, mixer, delay, send, and for just the beginning portion of this loop, I'm going to turn up a little bit of delay here. Have this part going all the way through, and then turn it right back down. Do the same thing here. Yeah, cool. I even want to maybe extend this out so that I have more room to mess with some delay. So let's bring that forward. Takes the automation with it. Nice. And now I have some extra room to work with. I thought that I had more clip before this. No, it was the beginning. Okay, then let's just copy that over. Make a slice. Get rid of the fill. So this snare must be here. Yeah, so then I'm going to bring the delay in for a majority of this loop. And then I will leave it untouched, or I'll bring it up for just a small portion. More so here. Not so much of a spike up there. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a little bit of processing on the main bus, so on the main track. I call it a bus, same kind of deal as a track, like something for audio to go through, like this delay you could call a bus. I'm not gonna get too much into the definition of bus. That's more of like that's like a sort of a high level, like it's kind of another term that's not really that important to be familiar with if you're using like more basic DAWs. So don't worry about it. Just I'm throwing a compressor on everything so that we can control the volume of all of these drums, and we can have some sort of consistency out of the loops we get. So I'm gonna bring that down. Maybe I'll compress it just a little bit. I shall throw a preset of the compressor on. Let's do a gentle squeeze. So what do we have here? Like it's minus 21 dB threshold, 1.5 to 1, a 1 millisecond attack, 100 millisecond release. That's okay. That's fine. We'll leave it as is. Now, another thing I'd like to do is, well, let's export it. Let's get it out of Ableton and into Soundtrap, shall we? All right. We are still good on time. So, what have we got? We've got a kick drum, which is kind of a little too thick, I think. Like here, one sec. Let me just go into our sampler, and I'm going to try to add a fade at the end. One shot mode. What do I want to do? All right, I can do it on my push here. I'm gonna do a little fade out. Bring back the end of the sample, I guess. Ooh, that's sudden. Just adjusting it a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think I've got it pretty well contained. Now, that goes on until measure 67, so let's go ahead and do a little export. First, I'm going to save the set, though. FX demo. Drums. Gonna save this project. Give it some time. And now, export audio video. We just want an MP3 because that's a much smaller file size. Okay. FX add-ons, drums. Sure. We'll export it to the desktop. While it's doing that, we're going to come over here and prepare a new track, or several new tracks for this exact purpose. We've got down here the extra bass and arpeggio track. Get rid of, I'll quickly clean up the project because we're going to be bringing in quite a few new sounds. So get rid of vanilla, imp arpeggio. Okay, get out of here. I don't know what that is. Yeah, we don't need this track either. There's nothing on it. Goodbye. Imp bass. Is there anything? What is this? What is this? Close that down. Flutter wave we do not appear to be using. Yep, flutter wave is not used anywhere. Okay, delete. Plastercraft, we're using those. Lilash and Grand Piano can go. We don't need these tracks either. Okay, let's organize real quick. So, we have drums. We're going to move that to the top. This is how I like to organize my projects. This is, of course, you can always do it another way. It's up to you. But I like to put drums to the top. So I need to find my kick. This is the deep electro. Let's also go ahead and go through and name stuff. So this is Be Awesome was fine. Let's call this just kick. Deep electro kick. Or perhaps we can keep it yeah, whatever, that's fine. Guitar slices delay, stereo delay, sure, those are affected tracks. Okay, let's group all the guitars together. So, but only after I move my bass up, because I like to have drums and bass first. So there's our arpeggio, or our bass. We can call this just bass. Sliced bass. And we can call this one sliced bass variation 2. Okay, and we have several pad sounds as well. Let's move the guitar up next to the... Hold on. Whew. Had to sneeze there. We have guitar sounds, delayed versions of that, so that makes sense. We have Plastercraft 1 and 2, then we have an extra pad. We want to move this guitar texture next to the guitar stuff. Okay, cool. And arpeggio, this little synth arpeggio thing, let's put it above the pads. This is drum fills, so this needs to go with the rest of the drums. And this is kind of more bass stuff, but I'm going to leave it at the bottom because we're not actually hearing it. This is just kind of where I'm storing some samples for now. And I think what I'm gonna do is sort of the same thing with this audio track. I'm gonna just move it to the end of this track and then just sort of slice it from there. I will be right back though. I need to grab some stuff. BRB. Alrighty. I am back. Excuse the little break. I had to get some more coffee. My coffee ran out. And that is not good. So then, let's take all of those drums we just created and just found in Ableton and let's get them in here. Let's do it. So I have the file in or on my desktop. All I have to do is go over a couple places, grab this, and bring it down here. It is importing the track, and we have our sounds. So we have our first kit. I'll call this the kick. Whoops, I didn't mean to add that slash. And here. So we have the version with that crazy distorted kick, and we have the version without, and with some delay. I believe that goes on for 8 bars. And that goes into the next sample we have here. And this nice little beat. That goes into that. Right there is where we want to make our cut. I think it's actually a little bit later than I thought. Maybe it's there where I want to make the cut. Right there. Okay, make a cut here. Not quite at the right spot, but we can adjust that later. Then we have a little bit of a delay, and then the next thing starts. Yeah, it looks like all this is like a little bit later than it should be. That's okay. So cool, we have a whole bunch more sounds to work with. All of that. Okay, that's still bass. First thing I want to try to incorporate is this new kick drum. So I'm gonna make, so I have this deep electro kick. I'm gonna make a track right below it. So, well, I'm gonna have to add it at the bottom. Let's do guitar slash bass amp. And advanced. Hold on. Advanced. Okay, well, this is not exactly what I'm going for. I just need I just need an audio track. Let's just create a blank audio track. Right? That would be nice. But I think I could just drag this audio right onto it, right? Whoops. Mean to do that. Yeah, I can just drag the audio right onto it. Okay. Well, it's... Oh, that's interesting. And it's got some sort of effect on it. I don't want that. Let's just have clean. Clean amp. Cool. Alright, so we want just the kick in there, not anything else. I need to zoom in so I can grab this whole thing. And we'll move it forward. Why won't you let me loop you? There we go. Alright. Let's move this kick track up next to the other one. And we will compare the two and try to get them worked in. First of all, I need to make it happen at the same time. So this whole clip is like delayed a little bit forward. So if I just take that out, if I get a better cut, whoops. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I just press Control Z about one extra time. Gonna get a nice precise cut there, get rid of that silence, and then move this forward. And we should get it to exactly line up as we wish. And let's compare that with this. Alright. So is this too early or is the existing beat too late? So I think I need to add a little bit of that initial silence back in, it seems, for it to line up properly. Let's add that much. Still feels a little bit too forward. And I might even not have this be like the main kick. It could just be an accent kick. Because it is a little too up front for what I want here. Maybe a little bit more and it'll be good. A little bit delayed. I just want to get this in exactly the right spot because this is kind of the most important part of the song, is the kick drum. At least in this respect. So I want to make sure that it's really in the right spot. So I'm going to keep messing with it here. Let's compare it with our electro kick. Perhaps even a little more, actually. Even a little more. Let me move my playhead back. Where did it go? Went all the way back to the beginning. I'm going to start my loop region here so that I don't have to keep shuffling back. Back there. Okay, cool. Zoom in. Let's get that a little bit more delayed. Okay, how about now? That might be the best it's gonna be. Might be the best it's gonna be. The second half is even better. How could that be? What if then if I took this, if I go right to measure 13, make a split on this clip, get rid of this first half, and then I were to take that much space, copy this, paste it, oops, copy that, go right to the beginning, paste it in. It should theoretically be in the right spot. Yeah. Now that we have all of that, let's see what we can do. Oh, also, might as well go ahead and add this for the rest of the kicks. So I just want to take this whole point, all of these kick drums, and I want to move them over to measure 33 and measure 41 and measure 57. Now everything's got this kick built in. I'm going to turn it down a little bit so that I can just like slowly blend it in. So I'm going to go ahead and just play the whole thing. Interesting. The volume knob is not moving yet. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know why. Because I'm automating it. I can't control this volume knob because it's automated. Gotta remember that. Okay. So then I want to perhaps turn it down before we reach this pumping section. That's about a good level. Yeah, that kick slaps a lot harder now. So then here it could be one of those spots where I could try one of those new drum beats. Like this one. I think this one is actually perfect. Let's do it on a different track than the kick because I keep doing that by accident. I think I've got probably got a ton of bookmarks somewhere by now. I want to duplicate this track. I keep doing that because it's a key shortcut to duplicate the track in Ableton, but in the browser it's just to save a bookmark. I'm going to make a duplicate of this kick track, and I'm going to call it Topper 1. And then we'll take that beat we have down here, copy it, move it up here to Topper 1, select that track, paste, and now we have this. Now, it's a little bit off, so we got to figure out exactly what's going on here. I think this arpeggio is a bit forward. Something I'd like to do is I'd like to go in and I would like to go in and swing this this arpeggio. So that's going to require going back to my old Ableton project and redoing these notes. But that's just a matter of adding a bit of swing to that arpeggiator. It's possible, so I'll do that. I'll do that off camera. But I'm going to add that fade back in real quick because I lost it. So, fade that out. Let's hear how this sounds. of course, this can... do I want to bring in the one with the beat with the kick afterwards? Whoops. Wait, where did it go? Where did I put it? Oh well, I'll just have to extend this one backwards then to find it. Like that thing. Do I want that? Do I want that there? Let's just hear how it sounds. I'm curious. Yeah, it's too different. I don't know. I think I just want to. I just want to keep the top part of it. And then one quick transition thing. I'm gonna take this kick drum. Same thing here with this clip. I'm gonna take this kick drum, move it back, and then we'll add a filter sweep to both of these tracks. So I'll go in. I'm gonna put these next to each other, so that it is because they're both doing the same thing. I'm gonna add some filter sweep to both of these. Let's do the electro kick will come in with a low pass filter, so it'll be muffled. It'll start down low. Here I'll do the same thing, but maybe I'll use the filter here to kind of start out this kick at a lower filter level than like at the beginning section, so it's a little bit softer. Yeah, you hear how it's affecting it? Bring this. Gonna need a filter on this too, because that just kind of comes right in. So let's bring that down. We'll start that low. Have that kind of slowly come in. Alright, so and then the kick will come back in there. And then maybe some bass will happen too. Something else, some stuff here at this last part of this section to lead us into the drop, right? Alright. So this is going to need to do something. This doesn't have a fill built into it. Kind of. Perhaps I'll bring it forward at the end. I'll take this bit, move it back. No, that's not what I wanted. And let's see what else we got. Let's try putting this topper in too. So topper 1, I will make a duplicate, and guess what I'm going to call it? I'm going to call it topper 2. And I will paste in that other beat I had, this thing. Ah, see, now we're running into an issue because this one was swung and this one wasn't. This one is. Let me just hear these two together. I think they're just not lining up. Yeah, that's what it is. This one's just a little bit too forward. That seems to be a common theme. You just got to get some of these notes to line up exactly. I think this one's, yeah, you can see it's a little bit forward, so it needs to be brought back some. All right, I'll just make that so. Perhaps even more, or a little bit forward. That is. I'm getting these two to line up, right? I'm looking at like the transients here. I think it could use a little bit more delay. I don't know. Let's move it forward some. It's really tough to tell. It's really tough to tell. Now it's definitely too far forward. Minor adjustments. Minor adjustments. Let's go back to the beginning. And let's play it. This could come back. I can't get this right. I think that's the closest I'm gonna get. There. Okay. Yeah, things aren't lining up. Okay. I'm not going to bore you with the slight adjustments any longer, but yeah, I'm going to get these things to line up exactly because they're all at the same tempo. They're just at the wrong spot in the measure, and I just need to get them all to line up exactly with this kick drum, and all will be well. But let's just go ahead and play through this, the end of this. And just kind of mess around with this transition. Just ignore the fact that the drum beat is kind of off right now. Yeah, I'll fix that. Ah, I've never brought the kick back, or the main kick back. Let me bring that back in. So it'll start from a low filter, come up to maximum, come up to no filter at all. What could work with that? Curious if I can get this to work. But yeah. Next time we will continue with this. So I'm going to incorporate these other drums and we'll get, first of all, let me just change this color to the other color. So now all the drums are the same. And I can just go ahead and move this arpeggio. Well, no, I'll call this Imported samples. Call this one imported samples. And yeah, so we got a fair bit done today. We went through quite a lot of drum sounds, and we incorporated some more beats into our beat. But next time we'll do some more of the automation and transition things that I started to get into here, like just figuring out how do you get from this mode into all this stuff in the middle. We'll focus on especially tomorrow, and here too, like how do you get from this from there to there. It's just kind of sudden right now. It's not working. And there are some things we can do to get it to work. Like, first of all, I think this beginning section is a little too short. I think it could be extended out twice as long. That'll give us some room to bring in some more of the drum beats and have some more transition effects going on to lead us into that, into this sort of like chorus open like build-up section, and then the drop, and then this one I also want to work on. What I'm going to do is take this, move this, all of this stuff to the end here, and this middle section is going to act as a break between the two drops, and this is going to be continued out, doubled, and then we'll have a different rhythm for the second half. So it'll be this drop going on and grooving for quite a while, then it'll drop out, be kind of relaxed, and have that arpeggio come back in, a nice fade, and it could even fade in from the drop, and we'll work on that, on specifically how it's going to go from here to here, and then here to here, from here to here, from here to here. And we will work this song until completion. That is what we will do. And we'll perhaps even add some more instruments. But I don't know if it's necessary. I think we've got all the elements here. I think we've got everything we need to bring this song to its final stage, which would be the mastering stage. I'd like to do that from inside Ableton so I can really finish it. But I'm going to try to keep it here so that y'all can do the same. Okay, that'll be all from me for today. Thank you for sticking around, those of you who did. And we will be coming back. This text is wrong. That is today. We'll be coming back the next day. And just news for those that who are... Oh, I just got another view. We're just about to wrap up. But for those of you who are BVMP students, I'm going to talk with Kaichin, but I'm going to try to plan for tomorrow to come in and set up Soundtrap. Well, I don't really have to set up Soundtrap because it's on a browser, but I want to set up Soundtrap's account to work with, or to be under BVMP's name. And so expect to we may have to reassign y'all. We may have to reinvite you all to Soundtrap and get you going on new accounts. But I doubt that we'll have to. I'm going to try to just use my account and just put it under their name. And then also going to get some other things set up there so that perhaps we can have more than just me doing this stream, and we could start to have other guests doing their own things, because we'll have a computer at BVMP set up to do the streaming stuff, and it'll be good. Okay,